So I know I had talked about wanting to do my videos on Instagram because they do generally get more views and shit, but this topic requires a bit more time than 60 seconds. Yesterday technically in the UK, they had something called Day of Freedom, which is where a bunch of people on the right over there all got together to discuss freedom of speech and how it's being suppressed. The most high-profile instance is regarding a man who is probably best known as Count Dankula. He's some speaker who was arrested and convicted of a hate crime because he made a "gas the Jews" joke. And you know what? It's a tasteless, crass joke, and it's offensive, blah, blah, blah. But it's not a crime. Or at least it shouldn't be a crime to make a joke. He didn't specifically target any one person. And honestly, he was taking the piss out of Nazis, if anything. And that's not defensive of the man. It's a defense of his ability, his right to be offensive. And we need to realize on the left, in America and abroad, we on the left need to realize how important freedom of speech actually is. Because the ability for us to say what we need to say is intrinsically tied to the ability of bigots to say the horrible, disgusting, nasty things they say. Because if we make it illegal for them to say things when they regain power, and they have power right now, that's the thing, they have the power right now. And we're acting like they don't. If we push for laws to restrict speech, they can very easily restrict the speech of the people on the left. It's already starting to happen on platforms like Facebook, where people pushed and pushed and pushed to have hate speech shut down. And now accounts are getting banned for things like saying kill all men and yada yada. The oppressed minority is the one being fucked over by these policies that they pushed for to begin with. And we're just gonna have to accept that we cannot control what other people say. White people are always going to say nigger. Homophobes are always going to say faggot. Transphobic people are always going to say tranny. That's just the way things are. It's the way it is. And yes, we as individuals can decide we don't want to hear it, but we cannot decide that they cannot say it. We can boycott businesses. That's great. That's wonderful. That's the perfect way to do things, is to boycott businesses. But we have to be careful not to cross the line from boycott to blacklist, because McCarthyism is a very shameful period in the United States history. And I'm terrified that we're going to go back to that. Only we're going to be doing it on the left to people on the right. Because shutting down speech is not okay. Disagreeing, debating, those are wonderful. That is the foundation, that's the cornerstone of speech, is the ability to tell someone, no, you're wrong, and here is why. But to tell someone, no, you're wrong, shut up, you're not allowed to speak, and actively going out of your way to suppress their ability to speak, that's not okay, that's not acceptable. It's not. And you know what? Yeah, maybe it's legal to do so, but it shouldn't be. And that's not to say that someone they have a right to a platform on Facebook and Twitter and yada yada. They don't. No one does. Those are private businesses. But free speech is a concept. It is a right. But it's also more than a concept. It's saying that people, no matter who they are, what they are, can say whatever they want. And yes, there can be consequences. Like I said, boycotts are wonderful. However, I don't think people should be kicked off social media specifically for saying something like, I hate niggers, or hang the faggots. That should not be, that's not harassment. Now, if you specifically go to someone and say, you're a fucking nigger, you're gonna die, or you're a dirty faggot and I want to run you down my truck and you're burning in hell for eternity. That's targeted harassment. That's specifically going after a person. And that is more than speech. That is an actual harassment and threat. But just a general, I don't like black people, I don't like gays, I don't like Hispanics, that is still in the realm of speech. Holocaust denial is speech. And it's very, very important that we recognize someone's right to do that. We cannot control what someone believes. Because a lot of Holocaust deniers genuinely believe it never happened. Just the exact same way that there are people who genuinely believe that the earth is flat. And you know what? You challenge them. You provide evidence to the contrary. Because the role of debate is not to convince the other person. It's to convince the audience that was watching. And that's something a lot of people forget. Especially people on the right, like Ben Shapiro and his How to Utterly Destroy, etc. That's not the point of debate. The point of debate is to present your side so that the people watching can make up their mind whether they agree with you or not. That's how you win centrist over, people in the middle. And that's something that's troubled me a lot lately, is that even people in the middle who say, I don't know, their ability to say, I don't know, is being attacked. Their ability to disagree with the party line, so to speak, is being attacked. We're calling everyone evil bigots because they say they don't understand. We are suppressing someone's right to say, I think you should have the freedom to be gay, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm okay with it. We are attacking people for saying that they are pro-choice, but they still don't think that people should have abortion. They just recognize that it's a woman's right to have an abortion. We need to be tolerant of things that we find repulsive. Because if we don't, if we go out of our way to suppress someone's ability to think for themselves and speak for themselves, you know what we're going to do? We're going to turn them away from the left. We're going to turn them away from tolerance. And we're going to put them right into the arms of the alt-right and Trump. I've seen it happen. That's why so many people still stand by Trump, is because rather than talk to them, we are trying to silence them by calling them bigots, telling them they have no right to speak. And that's just not how reality actually works. And when it comes to artists, we try to dictate what they can and cannot put into their books, or their music, or their movies. That's not how it works. That's anti-freedom of speech. Kanye West should not be blackballed for supporting Trump the exact same way that Dixie Chicks should not have been blackballed for opposing George Bush and the Iraq War. Those are both gross violations of freedom of speech. Maybe, they were not violations of the First Amendment, but the principle itself of freedom of speech, those people lost it. Those three women lost that battle. And you know what? They fought anyway, and they're still fighting. And, I was actually wrong. They didn't lose the battle. They were kicked out of the industry. But they said what they wanted to say, and they stood by it. And that is victory in and of itself. And I applaud that. Because the freedom to say something unpopular is so much more important than pleasing other people. This is something I've said time and time and time again, and I stand by it. I would rather be called a faggot every day to my face than to tell someone that they cannot say it. And yeah, maybe it is because I'm an artist, so to speak. I consider myself an artist now. A writer, yes, but that's still art. And the thing about art is that it's supposed to reflect. It's supposed to make people think. And if you're not doing that, then you're honestly wasting time. You know, art is supposed to be problematic. It's supposed to be offensive. It's supposed to be thought-provoking. Because if it's not, then what is it? I don't know. I don't understand how you can tell an artist what they can and cannot do. I don't understand how you can tell people what they are and are not allowed to think. I don't understand these things. And no one's been able to satisfactorily tell me. They've just given me platitudes and double standards. And they cannot tell me why a double standard is acceptable. Why? Just tell me why.